My next subject I'm going to bring up is civil forfeitures, and so Shelley, get ready because I'm going to go from Chris directly to you, where you can talk about what's taking place on the legislative front. Chris, do you believe that a criminal conviction should be required before forfeiture of a person's property?
Depends on where you're talking about conviction. I think that's the issue. The issue with criminal forfeitures is that very often drug dealers, I'm a drug dealer, but what I'll do is I'll give you all my money. I'll give you my money, I'll give you my property, I'll give you my stuff. So if the police come and they do the search warrant, I got nothing, it's all in your name, it's all in your thing. And it allows them to shift and hold on to those proceeds for much longer, and maybe we never get at them. So if we talk about a conviction, if somehow I'm convicted and that leads to maybe we can go after your assets if we can show a pattern, that would be something we're for it. But just to say, because it's very limited to just say this is the person that has the drugs and then we got a conviction, but he's shared all his money with whoever it may be out in the community, whether it be his friends, relatives, acquaintances, and we can't attack that drug money, really plays in the hands of the drug dealers. So I don't necessarily think that just saying, we win a conviction for a drug forfeiture is something that is necessarily helpful to preventing the spread of drugs in the community. I think there's some other things we can take a look at.
Okay, Chris, now that was a very, very, very great politician answer, but do you believe that someone should be charged with a crime and convicted before there can be a civil forfeiture?
That's why I just said no, because if you didn't do anything wrong, right? But if I need to be convicted, if there's something, but that's not what we're talking about in Lansing.
But if the criminal is convicted and I'm holding his drugs or his money, you still have a conviction. Correct?
At least we got conviction. Definitely, there's a conviction there. Yes, definitely.
Okay, so you're saying yes.
If that's what they're talking about in Lansing, but I don't think they're talking about that.
We're going to go to Shelley. Shelley, what are we talking about?
Maybe Shelley can hash that out. But just to say that's my understanding of what's going on in Lansing.
Shelley, what's on the table on Lansing?
So a couple years ago, when you have a civil forfeiture, you have to, in order to challenge that forfeiture, you have to pay a bond. So we got rid of that bond requirement so that people could go and challenge their forfeitures without, a lot of people don't have enough money to go challenge their forfeiture. But as to this issue, we are completely supportive and been working with the legislature to require a conviction in order to have a forfeiture. I know this always comes up, this drug money thing. It may happen, I'm not sure. But I can tell you that all of the forfeitures outside of that drug money issue are really hard on people who are losing their property, and they end up without a conviction. So two things: we would require a conviction for any type of forfeiture, and we would also require that the forfeiture proceeding moves out of civil and into criminal court. So if you're arrested for a crime and they're going to take your property, that the disposition of that property should be taken care of in the criminal court, not in a whole nother proceeding in the civil court where you don't have a right to an attorney, where you don't have all of the support you have in the criminal system. So that's what we're looking for. That's what many of the legislators would like to see. But it is a battle. This one's a battle in Lansing. It's hard to go up against prosecutors on this one.
Go ahead, Mr. Womack. Commissioner Womack.
I'll make it quick. And when we're talking about forfeitures, it's not just drugs. There's a young lady here today that I've been following her case. I'm going to ask her to stand up for one quick second. Monique, could you stand up? I won't keep you up long, but she was charged with perjury in a case. And before she ever went to trial on the case, before she ever was convicted or had a plea bargain agreement, the state shut down her daycare center. So women in the neighborhood approached me to let me know what had happened to her. So I wanted to know what was going on with her case. And that would be correct. You lost your daycare center, right? Okay, thank you. You can sit. I just didn't want you to think I'm making it up because it was bizarre when I heard about it. So I just want to add that there's a lot of things being taken from people. She also, while she was charged with this before a plea bargain or a day in court, She also lost 2 jobs that she went to that said they were able to see the charge. And so I just wanted to add that.
So that wasn't through our office, though. I mean, that was nothing through us, or I don't know who. But we don't have the power to take away a child care license. We don't. That's not part of forfeiture.
No, it was actually the state. It was actually the state. So the prosecution has nothing to do with it besides putting a charge on. So I'm addressing this more to the state and just to Michigan, period, that we cannot be closing people's business just because you're charged with a crime. And before you're convicted, her life would never be the same because of a charge.
Shelley, when was the bond requirement changed in the law? When did it go into effect?
You know, I'm turning 60 in a few weeks. My memory's so bad. But I believe it was about a year and a half ago. Yeah. It was last
April
session.
of
It was last
2016,
session.
wasn't it?
Yeah, it was last session.
Okay.
I mean, it probably went into effect in.
So, Chief, do you know that your officers who do forfeitures are still handing out forms that have bond requirements on them?
So I'm aware of the changes, and we've worked closely with the city attorney to make sure that we're following the most recent changes. Civil forfeiture, to state the obvious, is something slightly outside the realm of most police officers on the street. They're aware of how it exists, but if you start getting into the legalese and what was passed in Lansing back in 2016, they probably couldn't tell you how the changes may affect situations that they deal with on a daily basis. So that being said, we're taking a look at the forms we use to make sure that they are in compliance.
Okay. As of the last one I saw about 6 weeks ago, still had a bond requirement on it, which would be confusing to an individual who wanted to file a claim for the property because the bond requirement was still on the form, and it's been April of 2016.
Yeah, if the form is antiquated, I'll make sure we take a hard look at it and make sure that it's up.
That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you very much. Moving right.